Hey, this is Tyler, and I am joined by Meg.
Hey.
And today we are going to talk about some true crime stories. Well, one true crime story.
But maybe we'll talk about more in the future.
Yeah, we'll see. This is going to be our first time doing something that's basically not media related.
This is totally new to us, but I'm obsessed with true crime stories.
Yeah, we've watched a lot of documentaries and stuff about the different true crimes, the OJs and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to dive into one that I don't think I know much about, but you know a lot about.
It's definitely a really famous case.
Okay.
So we're going to be talking about the murder of Meredith Kercher
Mm-hmm.
and the suspicion of her roommate, Amanda Knox, which is probably the name that people know better than Meredith's. Sadly.
Okay.
I feel like Meredith has really been lost in all of this.
That's all of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the OJ case is called the OJ case.
Yeah, it's sad how the victims are totally forgotten and the the suspects or the assailants are actually famous.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
That is crazy. Well, I guess we can jump right into it.
Yeah, we're going to dive right into it. And we chose this one, or I chose this one. Tyler's not really familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be my fresh ears for this case.
Yep.
I chose this one because there isn't a solid resolution to it. It's very much left open-ended, and
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't have a solid opinion. I can't say what I thought happened because there's so many contradictions.
Okay.
And every time that you think you hear something that makes up your mind for you, you're going to hear something that completely undoes it.
That's
undoes
exciting.
it.
That's like a movie.
Right.
We're talking about movies
There
again.
is a Lifetime movie based on this story.
We'll have to watch that after this.
I've seen it.
Is it really good?
I mean, it's a Lifetime movie, so no. But I love Lifetime movies, so...
Hey, it's okay to love things that are not good.
Right. So, are you ready to get into it?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, Amanda Knox was a 20-year-old American student. She was from Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
and she came from a really good family. She played sports. She was an all-American girl.
Cool.
She actually worked 3 jobs to save up for a year studying abroad in Perugia, Italy.
Okay, I like her.
So that's where our story begins. And this is in 2007.
In Italy, the story begins?
Yes, in Perugia. So Amanda moves to Perugia by herself, and she speaks very minimal Italian.
Mm-hmm.
And when she arrives in Perugia, she responds to an ad that was taken up by a group of girls looking for a 4th roommate.
Cool.
So she moves in with these girls. So it's Amanda Knox, 2 other girls, I don't have their names here.
Okay.
I believe they were Italian students. And then Meredith Kercher, who was a British exchange student.
I think I know who the other 2 Italian students were.
Who?
I think they
What
were.
joke are you trying to make already?
I think they were named Mario and Luigi.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's take this seriously.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So, Amanda moves in with this group of girls.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I believe they had it set up was the 2 girls that were not Amanda or Meredith, they shared a room, or they shared quarters.
Yeah.
And then Amanda and Meredith, they didn't share a bedroom, but they shared a bathroom, so they shared quarters in the house, basically.
Cool.
And they bickered quite a bit. So Amanda was very outspoken, outgoing, boisterous, and she had a very laid-back attitude about a lot of things. And Meredith was more reserved, mild-mannered. She was a little bit more conservative.
Yeah.
And she didn't agree with Amanda's lax attitude on things like sex, money, and chores. They actually argued about a lot because Amanda was really messy.
So Amanda is a messy party girl?
Kind of, I guess. So...
This other girl's a little stuck up.
Oh, don't say that.
We didn't get to the part where she dies yet.
Well, they just disagreed on a lot of things, and they would bicker, especially over Amanda's messiness.
Okay.
But Amanda says that they were friends, and that they were able to get along well.
I don't think Amanda did it.
Okay.
Ask me why.
Why?
Because we know Amanda to be a very messy individual, so she wouldn't be smart enough to cover it up. If she really did kill Meredith, they would have been able to figure it out.
Well, we'll see what you say when we present more evidence.
Okay. I think I cracked it already.
Yeah, me and our dog cracked the case earlier.
Oh my god.
Remember? Okay. So Amanda, she studies during the day, so she's going to school during the day, and then she actually gets a job at a local pub, and she works there at nights.
Of course.
And she's working for a man named Patrick Lumumba.
Okay.
He's going to be important later on.
Yeah, I was going to say, why are you saying his full name?
Patrick Lumumba. So, she starts working for him in the fall, and then on October 25th, Amanda and Meredith go to a concert in Perugia together.
Yep.
And that's where Amanda meets a man named Raffaele Sollecito.
Okay.
So Raffaele Sollecito and Amanda Knox began dating. This is the night that they met, and he was her boyfriend at the time of the crime.
Okay.
So they were immediately taken with each other. Amanda said that he looked like Harry Potter. She was obsessed with Harry Potter.
Okay.
And he wrote about meeting her un colpo di fulmine, which means a lightning struck in Italian. So they were very taken with each other.
Okay.
So
Wait.
What?
Lightning struck?
A lightning struck.
Harry Potter?
Wow, I didn't even put that together.
I think I'm going to be able to figure out this case before it's over.
I think you are the eyes and ears we needed on this case.
Yeah, I've just been, I haven't been around, but I think I'm the detective that's going to crack it finally.
Oh, I completely forgot to preface as well that we are obviously not experts.
I am an expert.
Tyler may be, but I am not. So if I give any misinformation, I apologize for that, and you can feel free to correct me.
But pretty much everything you're saying is stuff that you read somewhere.
Yeah, I did research online.
Yeah.
Compiled several pages of notes.
So a lot of different
this
sources.
Very seriously. Yes.
Multiple sources, but you didn't cite anything.
I didn't cite my sources though. So.
Okay.
And it's the internet, so you never know. Anything could be.
Yeah.
And especially in cases like this, a lot of things are sensationalized and misreported.
Right, so somebody could have just said that lightning thing for fun because of Harry Potter.
That came from Amanda Knox herself. So.
Okay. Great.
I think she would not contest that.
Okay.
Okay, so on October 25th, Amanda and Raffaele meet. Then 7 days later, it's the morning of November 2nd, 2007.
Okay.
And at 9 a.m., police receive a call from a woman who found 2 cell phones on her property.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe she found them in in her yard or in her dumpster.
The woman found 2 cell phones on her property.
2 cell phones. And then she contacted the police. And there was a special subdivision of police who deal with this kind of stuff. So they tracked one of the phone's address, and it was linked to Amanda and Meredith's address.
The cell phone police did this.
Right. Okay. So this is 9 a.m., the morning of November 2nd. The woman finds these phones.
Both of the phones are linked to these 2 girls?
It only mentioned one of them being linked to this address. So
Okay.
It wasn't Amanda and Meredith's phone. I believe it was Meredith's phone, just from putting 2 and 2 together.
Okay.
So they go to the address, and when they get there, Amanda and Raffaele were sitting outside in the driveway. And they tell the police that the door was open and that the house had been ransacked and the house was trashed. Okay. So they assumed that there was like a break-in. And at 12:51 p.m., when the police are inside looking around the house, Raffaele Sollecito calls the police to report the break-in. But he does not say that the cops were already there. So...
What?
Yeah, that comes back to make him look really suspicious later, because that was kind of like his excuse of saying like, oh, when we stumbled upon this scene, I called the police right away. But the police say, no, you didn't call the police until the police were already there. I believe he called someone else. I didn't, that's something I heard not when I was putting together my notes for this, but I think he called like his sister or like his parents or something. I remember hearing that.
Yeah, I know the point of this one is that it's supposed to be really complicated and confusing, but I think I'm lost already. So the police came to their house because they tracked one of the cell phones to that address.
Right.
And they found Raffaele and Amanda there. And they were like, oh, the house was ransacked. And then Raffaele calls them again?
Right,
later?
when the police are inside. So they're still outside. The police have gone inside, and he calls to report this break-in.
He calls the police while the police are there?
Right, and does not mention that the police are already there. So it seemed to a lot of people like he's just covering his ass because they kind of got caught in a situation that made them look bad.
Okay.
For stumbling upon this scene that was obviously somehow wrong, and there are more things that Amanda had seen
well, this is
that morning.
Confusing me also about Raffaele and Amanda. Were they at the house the whole time?
We're going to go through their whole timeline of events of what they say happened in just a second.
Okay.
So now Amanda begins to say that she's concerned for Meredith because her door's locked and she wouldn't answer it and she wouldn't answer her phone.
Yeah.
So the police break down her door and they find her dead inside.
Okay.
So she's on the floor covered with a blanket.
The door is locked?
The door was locked and they had to break it down.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and she had been stabbed and sexually assaulted and her throat had been slit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was really disturbing.
And we're pretty sure that that door didn't have a way to be locked from the outside?
That I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
And,
I mean, if they had to break it down, then you would
yeah,
assume...
I mean, she had a window in her room, so...
Yeah, okay.
But the police thought immediately that the break-in looked staged because there was a broken window, which they believed was the point of entry. But they also felt like there really didn't seem to be like a forced entry. So there's also a theory of Meredith having brought her killer home with her, which we'll get into later. But the broken glass from the window, which they thought may have been the way that the killer got in, was on top of like all the clothes that had been tossed. So the house had been ransacked.
Yeah.
But the broken glass from the window was on top of everything.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't have... It seemed like, they'd broken the window afterwards to make it look staged.
Unless that girl had a messy room, but we know that she's, like, super neat. So...
But this was all over the whole house.
Okay.
So these were, like, things that had been thrown around. The house hadn't been left like this by the girls.
But I'm just saying that
there.
the glass was only in her room.
No, I believe it was, like, in a common area in the house or something.
Oh, okay.
I believe so.
I thought the broken window was her room.
I don't know. It didn't specify. Just the broken window.
So you were assuming it was in a common area.
Right, because they said the whole house was trashed. Like, they saw that even before they were able to get into Meredith's room.
Okay.
So, also, jewelry and electronics were left in view and untouched. So it didn't seem like a robbery, and no one reported anything being stolen.
Right.
Even when Raffaele Sollecito called the police at 12:51 that afternoon, he said that nothing had been stolen.
Yeah.
There were also bloody shoe prints leading from Meredith's room to the front door. Okay. And there was a bloody bare footprint on the bath mat in the bathroom. So a couple of things that they discovered at the crime scene that were important later on was that Meredith's bra had been cut off of her, and the clasp was actually missing.
Okay.
And that's really important later on.
Mm-hmm.
So she had over 40 wounds on her, and the police say that this is too many for one person to have inflicted, and one person on the prosecution even called it impossible.
Okay.
So...
Why is it impossible? I don't get it. Like, you would run out of energy or something?
She had very few, like, defensive wounds on her.
Mm-hmm.
She had also taken karate, so she would have probably put up a fight.
Yeah.
And the way that her wounds were, they thought it had to have been, like, a situation where people were holding her down.
Yeah.
While she was being stabbed.
Okay.
And... Police suspected Amanda Knox almost immediately because her behavior was very odd. So it raised red flags very quickly for the police. So while the police were inside of the house, you know, in the crime scene,
mm-hmm.
and while Meredith's body was being taken out, Raffaele and Amanda were captured on camera kissing outside of the house. And everyone thought that was very weird.
Yeah.
And she just didn't act distraught. Like, her roommates were all very distraught.
Mm-hmm.
And she just didn't act like a person who had any grief about this at all. She was laughing and joking with Raffaele at the police station, which is where they all went after this.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, sitting on his lap, and they were kissing. And she also made a comment. Her friends were saying that they hoped that Meredith hadn't suffered.
Mm-hmm.
And Amanda said, how could she not? She had her fucking throat slit.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is obviously very insensitive and bizarre.
Yeah.
And normal people don't talk like that, but...
Absolutely. But...
It could also be just a case of someone being very just awkward.
Yeah,
you know?
She could just be like a weird person, but not have committed the murder.
Absolutely.
I mean, that raises suspicion, sure, for me, and obviously for the police, but that doesn't really make me believe
No, it's not
one
enough
way
to
or the
incriminate
other.
someone
No.
at all. It was enough to make them look at her more closely.
Yeah.
Something else that was very odd was that she, at one point when she was at the police station, she was doing yoga and gymnastics in the hallway. So she was doing like handstands and splits. She only admits to doing the splits, but a police officer says that she had been doing like all sorts of gymnastics.
Yeah.
While waiting to be questioned at the police station.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's like one of the famous things about this case that everyone's like, that is insane.
Yeah, that she was doing gymnastics while she was waiting.
Right.
At a police station.
Right. To be questioned about her friend and roommate's murder. And she just wasn't acting like someone whose friend and roommate had been murdered in their house.
Yeah.
You know?
Then again, I don't know. If she really did do it, wouldn't she be nervous? A nervous person wouldn't be doing gymnastics. She sounds like pretty calm.
Right. I mean, some people could look at that as, you know, a sociopath, though.
Yeah.
You know, no empathy. And something interesting about Amanda that is just my opinion.
Yeah.
She's very emotional when she's talking about her own ordeal.
Okay.
So she'll be crying and, you know, talking about herself, but she had no signs of emotion for Meredith.
For this ordeal?
Right.
Okay.
So I know you don't know, like, everything that happens with Amanda Knox, but if she is innocent, she does go through hell. So.
Okay.
I mean, but also you have to think that I don't think this is an excuse, because I feel like I would be very upset if this happened, even if I didn't know the person that well. But these girls only knew each other for a couple of months. So this happened this is the morning of November 2nd.
Yeah.
And they had only been living together since like September.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe she just didn't know her that well, and that's why she wasn't that affected.
I got so lucky with my roommates.
Yeah, you had some great roommates.
This Meredith girl didn't work out so well.
No, it's so sad. She was such a beautiful girl. She was only 21 years old. So, it's so sad. But also there was a vigil held for Meredith. And Amanda and Raffaele did not attend. And they went to dinner with a friend instead.
Interesting.
So,
but not incriminating.
Right. So those are kind of all the red flags that are not incriminating, but are very odd. And the police immediately thought, she's involved. This is very strange.
Yeah.
So her and Raffaele were questioned at first as witnesses. So they couldn't be like official suspects.
Yeah.
But they were questioned and they were interrogated for many, many hours. And this is the official alibi, the story that Amanda and Raffaele gave.
Okay.
So, the night of November 1st, 2007, they stayed at Raffaele Sollecito's apartment. They said they cooked dinner, they watched a movie, they rented a movie called Amelie.
Okay. Heard it's a good movie.
Yes. They smoked weed, they had sex, and they went to sleep.
Oh my God.
And they said that they slept until 10 a.m. the next morning.
Okay.
So 10 a.m. on November 2nd, Amanda goes home that morning to take a shower, which a lot of people thought was kind of odd for her to go home to take a shower because he had a shower.
Goes home to take a shower. So they are not at the place where the crime happened?
They're at his apartment.
Okay.
He had his own apartment. And remember, they had only been dating for a week when this happened.
Yeah.
So she had been there most of that week, if not all. So she had been spending a lot of time there.
She says she went home to take a shower?
Yes.
She really is weird.
She said that he had a really crummy shower.
Okay.
And when she gets home, it's like a 5-minute walk, so she just walks home.
Yep.
And she notices that the front door is open, which she thought was odd, but the latch did noise worked that she said, so she wasn't too concerned about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then when she goes in to take a shower, she sees blood in the sink.
Okay.
But again, she's not super concerned. She said it was speckles, not, pools of blood.
Speckles of blood.
And she also had her ears newly pierced, so she thought it could have been, from her earrings, from her ears. Or she thought, it could have just been, anything normal. And she thought maybe Meredith had done it and not cleaned it up.
Yeah.
And she doesn't notice until after she gets out of the shower the bloody footprint on the bath mat.
Okay.
So after she showers, she goes back to Raffaele's apartment.
She doesn't do anything about the bloody footprint?
Well, she goes back to Raffaele's apartment, and then they return back to the apartment together. That's where the police that had been reported about the cell phones see them. And so now we've come full circle. Okay,
so they are claiming that they were lucky enough to have been coming back at the same time that the police arrived?
Right.
Is that a fact? Did the police see them already there, or did they see them coming in?
They were already there.
Okay.
So the police question Amanda and Raffaele, and that's the story that they gave them. And they are interrogated for many, many hours. And Amanda says that they used really inappropriate methods. She said that she was hit on the head, that they were screaming at her, and keep in mind they're in Italy, they're in a foreign country. So she doesn't speak the language that well.
She's being interrogated at that place or at the police station?
At the police station.
Okay.
And they keep pushing her on a text that she had sent to Patrick Lumumba. If you remember, he is her boss.
Yeah. Of course, Patrick Lumumba. I remember.
And in summary, the text, he had texted her the night of November 1st saying, you don't have to come into work tonight. It's very slow. Something like that.
Yep.
And she texted back something like, okay, see you later. But in Italian, because they were, talking in Italian, speaking in Italian, it's like a more literal sense of see you later. So they were like, this means that you intend to meet up with him later. Uh-huh. And they start pushing the narrative to her of, this looks suspicious. Did you and Patrick Lumumba have anything to do with the murder? And they push her on this, and she actually confesses to bringing Patrick Lumumba back to the house.
Okay.
Where he murdered Meredith Kercher, as Amanda listened from the other room.
Okay.
So after this,
we're close to a resolution here.
You might think. So after this confession, quote unquote.
Do they ever do a DNA test?
We're getting there.
Okay.
We are getting there. So after this confession, Amanda and Raffaele are arrested, and so is Patrick Lumumba. Mm-hmm. And this is when Amanda writes like a letter in English to the police. Mm-hmm. So she, because she was very concerned about the language barrier. So she writes this in English, and it basically says that her previous statement may not have been valid. She said that it feels like it might have been a dream. She doesn't know if they can trust what she said, but she does not retract the statement. Okay. So she says it feels like a dream. I don't know if it's real, but she doesn't retract it.
A dream?
Right, which is very weird.
Why would you dream that somebody got murdered when they really did get murdered?
I mean, it sounds very shady, and I think it's very shady, but also, I mean, you have to think that she's been through a trauma too, and she was interrogated for hours. I mean, think about all the people who give false confessions when they're interrogated. So it's very bizarre, and you think that you would never do it, and it certainly makes her look bad. Mm-hmm. But it's not impossible, and it's not unheard of.
Okay.
So I want to put a pin in that for a second and take a little side task here. Okay. And I want to talk about Giuliano Menini, who was the prosecutor in this case. So he is not completely innocent in this matter either.
He's the killer.
No. But he did face intense public scrutiny for sensationalizing this case and for pushing what many called an insane narrative. Uh-huh. He claimed that Meredith Kercher's death was due to a sexual game or a satanic ritual gone wrong. Okay. So he claimed that, Amanda Knox and Raffaele Slecchito were doing some sort of weird sex thing with her. Yeah. And that they killed her in this sex game gone wrong. Okay. And there was nothing to back this up. He basically pulled it out of nowhere. Uh-huh. And he and a lot of, just the media started pushing this image of Amanda as being a sexual deviant. Mm-hmm. And that was all over the tabloids. And that's when this started to get worldwide attention.
And that really confuses things probably even more.
Right. I mean, the media in this case just made everything so much worse than it had to have been. Mm. And they made her look terrible in the media. Yeah. And she started becoming known as Foxy Knoxy. Foxy Knoxy. Which was actually a childhood nickname that she had from when she played sports and stuff. Yeah. But they made it into
a sex
thing. This image of her being a sexual deviant.
Like a slut.
Right.
Slutty Knoxy.
Uh-huh. So the Italian police did, a lot of things wrong in this too. And you have to remember that their criminal justice system is very different from ours.
Hey, Amanda, what are you doing tonight? A man. Duh.
Okay.
We're at 30 minutes, by the way.
Okay. I think we're making good time. We're pushing through.
If you understood my joke, please comment below.
So something that happened to Amanda while she was imprisoned was that she was given a blood test, And the police told her that they found in the blood test that she was HIV positive.
Amanda?
Yes, Amanda Knox.
But she didn't know.
Right, so they told her that she was HIV positive, and they asked for a full list of her sexual history.
Mm-hmm.
And that was later leaked to the press. And it also turned out she was not HIV positive.
What?
Yeah.
Ooh, this is getting good.
Right. And Giuliano Menini was also later convicted of corruption and abuse of power and tapping phones. So he's not a completely credible source either. So it's like you can't fully believe the prosecution. You can't fully believe the defense in this case because there's so many shady things on each side.
Yeah, dirty plays.
Right. So going back to the crime scene, they found a bloody thumbprint, and they were able to find out that this belonged to a man named Rudy Gaudet.
Oh, no.
And he was an immigrant, so they actually had his fingerprints on file, so they were able to find out that it was him. And his DNA was also found on Meredith's bra and clothes.
Who the hell is this guy?
So, Rudy had fled to Germany, but he was arrested and brought back to Perugia.
Uh-huh.
And arrested. And at this time, Patrick Lumumba, he is cleared, so he has like eyewitness accounts and, a solid alibi. And it's found out that he has like no possible involvement with this.
Okay.
So, his name is cleared and he is released. And this makes Amanda look really, really bad because she totally sold this man down the river and he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Which seems like something that a guilty person would do.
Yeah, now this is even more confusing. She said that she was in the other room while Patrick Lumumba killed Meredith.
Yeah, and she gave an account with great detail. She said that she heard Meredith screaming. She covered her ears so that she didn't hear her screaming. But then she later said that she wasn't sure if this was real or if it was a dream.
Okay. But something clears Patrick Lumumba, which totally confuses that account that she gave.
Right. And people are outraged at this as well. And it becomes kind of a racial issue because Patrick Lumumba is black. Okay. And the black community was very mad at her because, you say the black guy did it. The whole thing just made her look so bad.
Yeah, okay.
So Rudy Gaudet is tried separately. And we're not really going to talk about his trial or anything almost at all. He definitely had something, he definitely was part of Meredith's murder and his DNA was found there. He was found guilty and sentenced to 30 years. His sentence was later cut down to 16 years.
Wow.
So we're not really going to talk about him, but he is a huge player in this. We just don't have enough time.
How old was Meredith?
Meredith was 21. How
many years old was Meredith going to be if she was going to die of natural causes?
I don't know, hopefully 80 or 100 years old.
Maybe 100? It's 100 minus 20. What was it, 21?
Mm-hmm.
79? Is that right?
I think so.
She was going to live 79 more years. That guy took away 79 years. And
the Italian justice system is just so different. And the sentence is so short.
Well, I have no clue if it would, what it would have been in the United States.
Yeah, you don't know.
But
he was found guilty. If you get found guilty of murder in the U.S., you're probably going to get more than 30 years.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And down to 16. He knocked off 80 years off of someone's life, and he's
a young girl. She was so bright. She had so much promise. And
he only loses 15 off of his life. Is that fair?
No, not at all.
No.
Okay, so
anyway.
Rudy was tried separately before Amanda and Raffaele. So now we're kind of going to talk about their trial. So the prosecution's case, the evidence that they had, and how the defense kind of debated that.
Yeah.
So There was a knife that was collected from Raffaele's apartment that contained Amanda's DNA on the handle and Meredith's DNA on the blade. So
you need to slow down.
Okay.
Raffaele's apartment, a knife?
A knife. Like a kitchen knife in the drawer.
Meredith's blood?
DNA.
Meredith's DNA and Amanda's fingerprints?
Amanda's DNA on the handle, Meredith's DNA on the blade.
What the fuck? Okay.
So you might think that that's like a slam dunk for the prosecution.
Yeah.
But the defense claims that the amount of DNA is so small that it's inconsequential.
Okay.
So, but the prosecution says that it's not too small. The fact that they found it at all says that it's not too small and that it is absolutely reliable.
Okay.
They also found Amanda Knox and Meredith's DNA mixed at the crime scene.
Yeah.
So, but the defense would claim that this is normal for two girls living together.
Sure.
Investigators also used something called luminol, which I don't know too much about, but it seems like it's kind of like a black light to reveal more blood they said they were looking for.
Okay.
And the luminol revealed Amanda Knox's footprints. And the prosecution says that this meant that she had to have been walking in bare feet covered in blood, and that this is proof that the couple came back during the night to clean up and stage the break-in.
Mm-hmm.
But the defense says that there's no proof that the prints are blood, that they could have been bleach. So...
Bleach footprints.
Right.
Okay.
So they can't prove that it's blood, but it just proves that it's Amanda's footprints in either blood or the defense says bleach.
Okay.
So... Also, something that was highly brought up in trial was contradictions to their story.
Okay.
Because, I didn't even mention this earlier, but back when they were first questioned,
Yeah.
and when Amanda gave that like false confession about Patrick Lumumba,
Yeah.
Raffaele changed his story when they were separated. So they told that story about them staying in at his apartment all night, and then, you know, she went back, showered, saw the scene, then she brought him back, and that's when the police arrived.
Mm-hmm. Whatever he's about to say is true.
Well, he basically couldn't say anything. His story just started to change when they were separated.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and he said that he was not sure if Amanda was with him all night. So he didn't say that they stayed in all night together. Or that she left. She said that he's not sure if she left or not.
He's trying to incriminate her or, like, cover his ass.
Yeah, and when he said that, that's when they went on Amanda harder, and that's when she gave that Patrick Lumumba confession.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a huge thing that I almost missed. So their story, especially Raffaele's, changed a lot. They claimed that they slept until 10 a.m., on the 2nd, but Raffaele was on his phone at 6:02 a.m. Also, eyewitness accounts contradict their story, and it's only proven that they were in his apartment sometime in like the 8 o'clock hour. Like, they can be put there up until like 8:30, 8:40, something like that, but after that, there's no proof that they were there.
So around 8:30, maybe they leave and they go rape and kill that girl, and then by 10 the cops come. Why were those 2 cell phones on that lady's property?
I don't know.
Where the hell did the cell phones come from? In 2 hours, they raped and killed this girl and then dropped off 2 cell phones on some random lady's property? I'm confused. Again.
In 2 hours? What do you mean?
Because didn't the police come at 10 and the girl was dead already?
She was killed the night before, though.
Oh.
She wasn't killed, like, earlier that morning.
Oh, okay.
Another thing that the prosecution presented was that the bloody footprint in the bathroom matched Amanda Knox and Raffaele Slecito's foot size and shape. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like they could say, this is Amanda Knox's footprint, but it matched, like the size and shape of both of their feet. I guess they have similar sized feet.
Okay.
So it could have been them.
If the two of them have similar sized feet, then other people have similar sized
so
foot to that
it's
too.
like not. I feel like that's kind of a flimsy argument.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Something that is not flimsy to me is remember how Meredith's bra had been cut off of her and the clasp was missing?
Yeah, I remember. So
46 days after the first crime scene inspection, they find Meredith's bra clasp, and Raffaele Slecito's DNA was found on the clasp.
Okay.
So that is the only piece of DNA evidence that puts him at the case, but it puts him in that room.
Yep.
And because it had been there for 46 days, it's highly debated whether or not it had been like contaminated, whether or not it's a reliable piece of evidence.
Yeah.
The defense says that the 46-day delay means that it's contaminated and it's not a reliable piece of evidence.
Yeah.
But in 2012, a man named David Boulding...
I'm lost. What year did we just skip to from what year?
The original trial is taken place... The first trial, it ends in 2009.
Okay.
So...
We skipped to 2012.
Right. So in 2012, a man named David Boulding, who is a DNA statistician, and he's thought to be one of the most respected in the industry, he did an independent examination of the clasp, and his findings were not used in the court case. So this is kind of, a whole separate thing.
Sure. But you and I are trying to solve this from our perspective, not from the court case.
Right. So, and he said this. Okay. When you just look at the evidence by eye, you can see very strongly all of Raffaele Slecito's DNA types are there, and that cannot be explained by environmental contamination.
Okay.
And he also said it was extremely strong evidence. And he said that he was not there, so he cannot say one way or another what contamination might have had an effect on the clasp, but that it's very unlikely for it to be like accidentally getting there, because DNA doesn't really travel through the air or anything. So he said it is far more likely that Raffaele was there than that he was not.
Did they ever try to check Meredith for somebody's sexual DNA on her? Because she was raped, wasn't she?
Yeah, I don't have that in my notes. I didn't see that when I was putting this together, but I think I remember hearing that they found Rudy Gaday's DNA on her. Okay. So he's definitely guilty. Let's not. Yeah. This isn't saying it wasn't Rudy Gaday. It was Amanda Knox.
I forgot about that guy.
Yeah. So you can't forget about him.
So that guy definitely raped and killed this girl, but we're wondering, did somebody else also help him? Right. Because at the beginning we learned that there's no way that one person stabbed her that many times.
That's what the Italian police
According to the Italian police.
Right.
Okay.
So that was based...
I feel like it could just be that guy.
I mean, it definitely could have been.
But also, Amanda is so sketchy, and if you're innocent, you pretty much just give your actual story of what happened. Right. And it usually ends up checking out because it is what happened.
Stories changing are the number one sign that someone had something to do with it.
Yeah, that makes me super nervous when her story changes, or if Raffaele's story changes. That just makes me think you had to change it because you were backed into a corner.
You were caught in a lie.
Yeah.
So you had no choice to change it. So that trial ends in 2009, and Amanda and Raffaele are found guilty of Meredith's murder. Yeah. And they are sentenced to 26 and 25 years, respectively. Amanda got an extra year for giving the false account about Patrick Lumumba. Okay. And they served nearly 4 years in prison before their verdict was overturned in 2011.
Okay.
So this is after, Giuliani Menini was no longer a prosecutor, and they were basically acquitted. They were acquitted.
So if Amanda did do it, she went to jail or if she didn't do it, she went to jail for no reason.
Right.
And Raffaele.
Correct. So after they were acquitted in 2011, Amanda returned home to Seattle with her family, and where she became an advocate for the wrongly convicted. She also wrote a book called Waiting to be Heard that details her experience. And then in 2014, Amanda and Raffaele were tried again. So this is not like the American justice system where you can only be tried once.
Okay.
So they were tried, found guilty, acquitted, and now they're being tried again.
Okay.
So this is like a new...
why were they acquitted? Do you know why?
I believe insufficient evidence.
Okay. The evidence seems pretty insufficient to me. Like, my gut tells me that they were involved, but from like a courtroom standpoint, I don't think there was enough to say that they definitely did it.
Right. And also just the whole narrative that Giuliano Menini pushed, it was just so bizarre, and he couldn't back it up. The whole sexual satanic ritual.
Yeah.
There was no proof of that. Rudy Guede.
Was he a Satanist?
Not that I read.
Okay.
He speaks in this trial, and he claims that Raffaele and Amanda were involved.
Mm-hmm.
So he says that 100% they had something to do with it, but they've never been able to link Amanda or Raffaele to Rudy in any way.
Yeah.
So they never had any like cell phone contact or anything like that. So basically they like didn't know each other, it seemed like.
Yeah. Interesting.
Right. Amanda refused to return to Italy. So she was tried in absentia. So she did not go to her own trial. She said that she would not go willingly back to Italy.
Yeah. So she was in America?
Yes, she's back in Seattle at this point.
Did she have to go?
I mean, she didn't, so I guess not.
Okay.
I don't think you can force someone, when it's in a different country. That's why a lot of people, flee the country when they commit a crime.
Okay.
Because, American police can't really go, across the border to go and get someone.
Yeah, okay.
That is, that could be totally wrong.
I think you're right.
Where am I? Okay, but Raffaele was there. He did go there to plea for himself, but he did not stay for the verdict. He left in a taxi before the verdict was read, and he was later found by the border, but he said he was not trying to flee.
Mm-hmm.
And Amanda and Raffaele were found guilty again.
Okay.
In this trial in 2014. And they were given even longer sentences. This time, Amanda was sentenced to 28 years, 6 months, and Raffaele was sentenced to 25 years. Amanda did not return to Perugia, and Raffaele remained out of prison until the final appeal. And in 2015, the Italian Supreme Court overturned the guilty verdicts for the final time, citing insufficient evidence. And so Raffaele and Amanda are acquitted, and they're not in jail for this crime.
Okay. They're not dating anymore?
No, they only dated for a week.
Okay.
Before all of that happened.
Yeah.
And also Patrick Lumumba was awarded 40,000 euros for his, for the false confession.
For the inconvenience.
Yeah, right. Because he owned a business, and he said his livelihood was destroyed by this.
Yeah.
So that's basically the whole story. There's really not a concrete end to anything. I feel like you can argue any point that's made either side.
I was hoping the ending of this, there would be so many conflicting things that you wouldn't know which one to choose. But for me, it's almost like there's not enough to go on.
Yeah, I feel like, especially now, as some time has gone by, people are much more in favor of Amanda Knox. It used to be like everyone thought that she was guilty.
Yeah.
There was a Netflix documentary in 2016 that it made her look a lot better than a lot of things. And I watched it in 2016.
Yeah.
And it made me think, because I had always thought that she was guilty, and
Sure.
afterwards I was left not knowing.
Yeah.
So, and I still don't know. Because there are a lot of things that are like, oh, well, you can't prove anything. But then you get back to, like, the DNA on the bra clasp. And, experts say that can't just be there.
And that knife.
And the knife, which, I'm not a forensics, scientist, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how big or small a piece of DNA has to be consequential.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's there at all is, like, very odd.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my final verdict is I don't know about this Lumumba guy.
He didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, according to you, but there's a chance that he could have. Like, why would she bring up his name? Anyway.
Because they kept pushing his name because of that text that they had sent.
Okay.
Which basically was just her not, knowing Italian properly.
Yeah.
By the end of her first trial, she was actually, like, almost fluent in Italian, and she gave a statement fully in Italian.
Yeah. Okay, so Lumumba's not involved. My final verdict, though, is that I think all three of them were involved with killing this girl.
That's what the police think.
I think
it sounded like you didn't think that Raffaele and Amanda were involved.
No, I don't think there's enough evidence for me to say that I truly believe that and that I would actually sentence them if I was on a jury or something.
Yeah. Luckily, we don't have that burden. This is just us, talking and speculating.
But if I was, like, betting money and there was, like, some omniscient being out there that knew the answer to this and I had to bet money on this, I would bet that all three of them were involved in it, and maybe not necessarily that all three of them did the stabbing, but that all three of them were guilty for this crime, based on everything I heard.
Right. I don't know, her behavior was just so strange. And that's not, you can't really use that as, you can use it as evidence, but it's not something where it's black or white, like, finding a bloody thumbprint like they did of Rudy Gaudet.
Maybe in some country you can use that as evidence. In Italy and in America you can't. But maybe in some random island you can use that somebody's sketchy as evidence. So.
I don't know. I feel unresolved about this case.
Yeah. I feel like it's so weird for them to have been, like, changing their story and so sketchy about it.
Right.
And it's so weird that they don't have, this is the weirdest thing to me, really, is that they don't have a connection to that Rudy guy.
Yeah.
You would expect there to be something.
Right.
But maybe Rudy was a guy that Meredith took home, just like after a party or whatever.
I think something like that probably happened.
And then, like, maybe the four of them were hanging out and maybe they were playing some sex games. Maybe it wasn't satanic, but maybe things got a little out of hand and the three of them ganged up on her and beat the shit out of her. Maybe, like, that Rudy guy really wanted to bang her or something, but she was, like, super, like, prude, and Amanda is, like, super slutty, and Raffaele, I'm assuming, is super slutty. Maybe this is just three sluts that killed her.
Okay.
I mean, that's a funny way of putting it, but I think that's actually a pretty good theory. That the four of them were having some sort of a gathering, and then the three of them just got like annoyed with her for not being cool, and they like killed her.
It could have been. Also, there's like so much more information that we didn't even touch on, just because there's so much, and we didn't want this to go too long.
Yeah, not to say that this is like definitely the reason that rape happens every time, but I feel like there's a chance that this girl got raped because she like was, or at least I was getting the impression from you that she was not like very sexually active, and she was like a studious, like buttoned up person.
I mean, I don't know how sexually active she was. She was just more conservative than Amanda. But I'm on just, like a surface level, just their personalities.
Yeah, I'm just theorizing here that maybe she just wasn't like gonna give it up on the first date, and that really upset that guy, and so he raped her because he was pissed off. Like, that could totally be a believable thing. I don't know, just an idea. I'm just throwing ideas around.
There's so many possibilities. Yeah, it's something that makes you think.
Yeah, I'm trying to think through it right now. I think that one of the most interesting things we got out of this, though, was that if they were found guilty, she wouldn't have had to go to prison. She would have, at the end, if the Supreme Court found them guilty, she would have just been able to chill in the United States while her...
well, we don't know that. The United States could have expedited her.
Oh, really?
To Italy.
Okay. So the police can't cross, but they can shoot people over.
Well, I don't know exactly how it works, but Amanda was hoping that the U.S. would not, comply with Italy wanting her to return to their country.
Yeah. Well, this has been really interesting. I ultimately took away from this nothing because I have no idea what the hell happened. But what I do want to do now is read more about it. Probably not read, but watch. Did you say there's a Netflix thing?
Yeah, the Netflix documentary was really good. It's been a while since I saw it, but
we should watch it.
We should. I think it's one of the more non-bias versions, because there was so much that was kind of put out like fact about this case, and it really wasn't. There's a lot of things that couldn't be proven.
Damn, those gymnastics.
That is so weird. Jodi Arias, who's a convicted murderer.
Also on your radar.
Right. We might be talking about Jodi Arias at some point.
But maybe not.
If we decide that we enjoyed talking about true crime.
I feel like we should just do a new thing every time that's completely unrelated to anything else.
It'll be hard to build up any kind of audience for us doing something different.
Yeah.
Other than my mom.
Hey, Tara.
Hi, Mom. But Jodi Arias did like headstands and handstands.
Really?
When she was in the police station.
What the hell?
Yes, I mean, obviously.
Wait a second. I think I have a new theory.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
And it seems like something that like a sociopath with no empathy would do.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, this makes me wonder what people who are in like the behavioral sciences say about this. Like, maybe
I would love to talk to like an expert about stuff like this.
Maybe there's something about being in a police station and being in that situation where you've killed someone, but you are...
Maybe they were like trying to act so casual and relaxed. Like, I don't have anything to worry about. They're like, I'll just do some handstands.
Yeah.
That'll throw them off my scent.
That is insane that they both did that.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing I've heard this whole... This whole hour. We're at 59 minutes. We did perfect.
Perfect. We wanted to keep this to about an hour.
Yeah. I should cut it off when it gets to exactly an hour. Just kidding.
We have to say goodbye. Yeah. Also, this could have been like 10 hours. There's so much freaking information.
Yeah.
That we just had to skip. But
you know what I would love to talk about on here that's true crime related, but also movie related?
What's that?
The Zodiac Killer.
I love that movie.
Zodiac is a good movie. Do you know about the killer? Like, have you followed that case a lot, or
I think
not
I've
really?
seen like a documentary on the Zodiac killer. I'm not like well versed in it.
All right, I'm gonna research Zodiac, and then
And you'll lead that discussion.
I'm gonna lead that discussion, and then you can
that's
tell me what
exciting.
you think.
All right, I'm excited.
All right, cool.
I'm so into true crime.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm so into it, but I also wouldn't say I'm not into it. Like,
Yeah.
this is really fun to talk about, and I love thinking about these things because they're kind of like problems that beg to be solved, but you can't really solve them.
Yeah. Mysteries.
Yeah.
And it's so sad that this beautiful young girl lost her life.
Yeah.
And her family had to go through so much with all of these trials.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that they think that Amanda had something to do with it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. And their family's lawyer put out a statement after like the final acquittal that, you know, they were shocked and disappointed, basically.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Lack of
And they just want
evidence.
people to remember Meredith because, like, no one talks about Meredith. It's always about Amanda Knox.
You remember my statement at the beginning? I said that Amanda definitely didn't do it because we know that she's very messy and she never would have been able to cover this up.
Mm-hmm.
But you know who we don't know is messy is Raffaele.
That's true.
Maybe he's the mastermind behind, like, staging the break-in and cleaning everything up.
It could be. He was a graduate student in computer science. So
Computer science.
He was very bright and
Yeah, I mean, that makes...
kind of geeky.
Maybe. I don't know if that means he would know how to clean up a crime scene. I have no clue.
Yeah, nor do I.
But I think that my theory doesn't count anymore. The one at the beginning, that Amanda didn't do it because she's messy.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I was just joking when I said that.
Right.
But it doesn't really fit anymore because there's two other people involved. Like, maybe maybe this Rudy guy was like a criminal.
He was.
He had a criminal background.
He had a criminal history, yeah.
So he knows how to clean up crime scenes, maybe. Or there's a better
Apparently
chance.
not that well because he left a bloody thumbprint.
Right. Well as you can. I mean, you're going to probably forget something.
Yeah. Well, it could have been just him raping and killing this poor girl. Or Amanda and Raffaele could have had something to do with it, and I don't think we will ever know.
No, I don't think we will.
Especially since, the verdict has been overturned for good. Like, the book is kind of closed on the subject. So it's not like they're going to come out and admit it. They're free.
Yeah.
And obviously,
And
Rudy would say that they did because he's trying to save his own skin.
If they did come out and admit it, then we still couldn't believe them.
Because they've lied before. I feel like once someone lies once,
Mhm.
their whole, like, everything that they say is discredited.
Yeah.
And that happens with so many of, like, the famous cases that we know, like Scott Peterson, Jodi Arias, Casey Anthony. You know,
They're all liars.
they get caught in a lie very early on, and then it's just like you can't believe anything that they say, and
Right.
they continue to get caught in lies.
Yeah. Motherfuckers. Well, I actually do want to look into the Zodiac one and then lead that discussion. It probably won't be the next episode, not even a chance. But
it was a lot of work to put all this together.
I was serious when I said that I want to do different things, though. Like, I'm in love with this episode that we just did.
Yeah, this was really interesting.
This having nothing to do with any of the other episodes we ever did.
And since we have, like, no audience, we kind of have the luxury of just doing whatever we
Yeah.
want because we're just doing this for us.
Yeah, so many people who do this kind of thing and they put out this content, they have to worry about what their audience wants, and sometimes the product changes because the audience demands it to change.
But we have no audience except my mom, who's just supportive no matter what.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Okay.
We just want to talk about things that we find interesting.
Yeah.
And true crime is like one of the most interesting subjects to me.
Pretty fun. I wonder what other things we might end up doing. Time will tell.
Maybe we could talk about true crime movies.
True crime movies.
Yeah. Like Zodiac.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you're just combining things, though. I want a completely new thing. Like people listening to us eat. Or
like government listening to us?
What? No, our audience listening to us eat food.
Oh. I was like, what? You want to do a mukbang?
Yeah.
Oh my god, Trisha Paytas is quaking.
I would do one, but I wouldn't do like the video. Can you do those just audio? Does it still count?
I wouldn't do that. I think that's kind of gross to listen to people like chewing.
It would be.
That's so gross.
Okay, that is gross, but does my question
I think there's
stands.
definitely a market for that, but I don't. I'm not that demographic.
My
so
question
don't ask
stands
me.
though. Is it? Are they always video or is it sometimes audio only?
I don't know.
I feel like listening to someone chew is gross, but if you had them chewing the right thing, like something crunchy, like chips or something, that could be cool.
ASMR.
Yeah. Or like popcorn. I don't know. All right. I think we're calling it.
Yeah, we've rambled enough now.
1 hour, 6 minutes ish. It's pretty good. We did good.
Yeah.
All right.
So if anyone has any comments or questions on anything that we said, just leave it in a comment down below.
Just ask the Italian police.
You might not get a straight answer.
No, you'll get an answer in Italian, which you might not know, so you might not understand it.
Yeah.
All right. See ya.
See ya.